Let's get a few more questions before we wrap up this banner episode of the Drive-Thru here.
Are you calling it banner because of our banter?
No, I'm calling it
or
banner
because it needs to be hung out to dry on the side of a wall.
That may be it. Here's our next question. This next question was sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Brandon in Bismarck, North Dakota. I haven't heard you talk too much about Jesse the Body Ventura. I mostly know him from his announcing, which he and Gorilla were awesome at. Let's hear a recap of his wrestling career and everything after, including his political career and his conspiracy involvement. Have you had any interactions with the Body? What conspiracy do you believe? I know you don't agree with AJ Styles on Flat Earth, but what about the moon landing? JFK, Area 51. So there's his question, Brandon from Bismarck, North Dakota. Jesse Ventura, and I guess a subtopic, conspiracy theories.
Well, I can't make a blanket statement that I think that every single conspiracy theory in the world is bullshit, because I probably haven't heard all of them. The ones I've heard are all bullshit. I agree there was a lot of controversy and things that, a lot of issues at play with the Kennedy assassination. But now I think, especially ever after that, people have tried to come up with conspiracy theories just to have them. And obviously it's mostly the weak-minded Republicans that believe this shit, whether it be the QAnon or whatever the fuck. But some of the nutcase Democrats, they have their own conspiracy theories that they believe as well. I think most of them are bullshit, and I think Jesse Ventura is a fucking nut. The modern era, Jesse Ventura, the wrestler, was a great personality, but Jesse the Ventura, the fucking politician and later on public figure, just became a fucking nut. He believes all this shit, I guess. I haven't obviously seen Jesse in years and years and years, and I didn't follow all of his, conspiracy theory stuff and all the media that he did in his later after wrestling life. He was a nice enough guy when he was in the wrestling business, to me at least. I was just a stooge. I drove him around in Memphis. When he came in the summer of '83, he was flying in to Memphis just to do TV on Saturday mornings and then do like Saturday night show and then be in Memphis on either Sunday or Monday in those days and then go back to the AWA. He was working for Vern. And so I drove him a few times to like Jonesboro, Arkansas or whatever on a Saturday night. I mentioned that he's the only wrestler that's ever out-eaten me at Wendy's. Did I tell you this?
I believe so. Was it that he didn't want the bread, he just wanted the patties?
No. He went to Wendy's. We went to Wendy's. He got the bread and the meat, but absolutely nothing else. No cheese, no condiment, no dressing, no nothing. He had 3 triple burgers. Just the meat and the bread. Because he was a fitness fanatic in his own way. But anyway, it was fun to talk to because we talked about wrestling. He wasn't in politics back then. Didn't know anything about politics. We just talked about wrestling and him working for Vern and stuff. And it was a pleasant ride. Jesse was a great promo, as we know. Jesse had a great look and was a great personality. Jesse, in the ring as a wrestler, could get by if he had a good opponent. The matches with Lawler were not shining examples of, Lawler's greatness. Well, actually they were, because he got kind of a pretty good match out of Jesse, but they weren't the greatest matches. And
they were an example of his behind the scenes greatness because he got out of working with Stan Hansen.
Well, yes, that's the thing. The 2 stars in the territory at the time were Stan Hansen and Jesse Ventura. So Lawler spent most time in the ring with Ventura and gave Idol the other babyface, Stan Hansen. That was a whole different story. There was never one single match between Jerry Lawler and Stan Hansen. But anyway, Jesse wasn't great in the fucking ring, but because of the gimmick and the people that he worked with, and Vern always put him in with good guys, it worked because he looked great. He had the body and he had the fucking promo. So I have nothing bad to say about it. And then after 83 in Memphis, I think I told this here not long ago on the show, the next time I saw Jesse was 2 years later, 85. I was coming back from something in the airport. I see Jesse Ventura walking down the concourse. Hey, Jesse. And he remembered me. It had only been a couple of years. I said, what are you doing? Well, I just got off the plane. I came from Connecticut. I did commentary on 15 Titan tapes because I've had to quit wrestling because of the Agent Orange. Okay, well, thank you. I didn't know he was going to start a whole fucking subgenre of the business as the heel color commentator. I just thought, okay, well, that's nice of him. They let him do some commentary on TV because he's out. And that's the last time I saw him until we briefly said hello when me and the Heavenly Bodies went down and did the WCW stint there in early 93. And that's probably the last time that I've seen Jesse in person. He was not around the WWF when I was there, and I haven't been around him since. So I got nothing against him as a person, but he just, it was great at the time that a wrestler became governor of Minnesota. Holy shit, it's good for the wrestling business. But he kind of became a crackpot, did he not, during that period and then afterwards, and all the conspiracy theories and moving to Mexico and the government's out to get you and whatever the fuck. He'd kind of fallen off the deep end, right? This is the only government we have right now that's ever been out to get anybody, and nobody recognizes it.
He certainly has gone a little far with his conspiracy theories. You brought up the Kennedy assassination, the various theories on that. It made me think of this. Have you seen, it's really extraordinary. Wrestling has its shoot interviews, and it took a long time for a lot of people to break kayfabe and tell the truth. There are now a series of interviews, and guys now just putting up videos themselves. Former, what we may call Mafia guys, doing shoot interviews talking about breaking kayfabe on their business. Have you seen any of these?
I have not.
Oh my God, Michael Franzese was doing interviews with various people, and now he just has his own YouTube channel where he gives his thoughts on Mafia movies. He gives his thoughts on how things worked, how things really went behind the scenes. He debunks various myths or various stories that have appeared in other places. He's someone who, I believe, went away a long time ago, and he found religion, and he denounced the life that he had formerly lived, and they let him, no one's ever come after him. And since that time, he now completely breaks kayfabe on all of that. But now there's all these other guys, like these interviews with Sammy the Bull Gravano that are out there. I was just watching one with a bunch of guys.
I hear that Sammy the Bull, didn't he have plastic surgery to have his face rearranged so people wouldn't recognize him, and then started going on national TV and doing documentaries?
I don't think any of these guys are hiding anymore. I just watched a guy who was the former boss of the Philadelphia outfit, who then became an informant, and he's just doing an interview. And the guy goes, here's the speed round. Let me ask you about these people. What do you think of this guy? He's a crumb. He's a crook. I spit on him. Like, he's ripping on every one of these guys. It's amazing, though, and I gotta say this. Everyone I've seen, I know Vlad TV has done some with these guys, and now Michael Franzese has his own videos, and there's this other guy who's from Iran who interviews some of these guys. All of them have better production values than the wrestling shoot interviews, which is saying something. These interviews are great. Michael Franzese, I am hooked on his channel because he's just so casual about it. I watched Donnie Brasco. I saw this. That's a really accurate scene. This is exactly how this would happen. It's great stuff. You have to check it out. You would probably like it.
I would enjoy that. I would have no recollection of the allegations in question, but I would enjoy it.
Yeah, really, really great stuff. I've only seen one where the guy had to be in shadows because he wouldn't allow himself to be seen. The nephew of Nicky Scarfa, the former head of the Philadelphia mob. Good friend of Dennis Carluzzo's. No, I'm just...
Well, there's still some heat there, so he had to be back in the shadow.
But you should check it out. Some really good stuff. I love the Michael Franzese channel.
You know what? If any of those guys get in trouble, though, if because of the way that they've come out and been outspoken about what went on in the past, if any of them needed good legal representation, if anybody needed if they needed somebody to take care of them in court because something came up on them as a result of the admissions that they had made, I wonder who would be able to take the case.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Filter the rest.
Folks, if you have mobsters, muscle, hitmen, or enforcers in your family or immediate social circle and would like them to have proper representation in court, well, Stephen P. New might be able to help them. It depends on what kind of crimes they have allegedly committed in the past. But if you've got a problem, if somebody has taken advantage of you or your family or harmed you or damaged you in some way, we've mentioned the big pharmaceutical companies, the big manufacturing companies. We've mentioned the entire city in West Virginia that was given cancer as a result of negligence on the part of one of the big chemical companies. We've also said that now Stephen P. New is helping our elderly and senior citizens that are living in nursing homes and been the victim of nursing home negligence and abuse, as well as the opioid-addicted babies. He'll get you from the cradle to the grave, folks. Stephen P. New, newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084. Whether you need somebody to represent you in a court of law or just talk good old-fashioned Southern wrestling, Stephen P. New is one of us, a man of the people. He's a man of the people like Bruno was without the Italian accent. Is that not correct, Brian Last?
That is exactly correct. He's just like Bruno without the accent. Or the wig.
Every other way, he's completely the same as Bruno, just without the accent. But folks, if you would like legal representation, if you don't know where to turn to the first opportunity you can to get on the phone to Stephen P. New, 888-692-8084, newlawoffice.com, is a man of the people of West Virginia and around the country.
And by the way, to go back to what I was previously saying, a lot of these alleged former Mafia guys, they all seem to a man, say that Kennedy was assassinated by the Mafia.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, you got to think, Brian, that the boys in the Mafia were sort of like the boys in wrestling. And they would get their ideas of things that would happen, and you couldn't shake them loose even if you had to. Tommy Rich had to do certain things with Jim Barnett to become the NWA champion for a week. There's some guys that would have fought you if you'd said any different. It could be the same way there with the boys instead of the boys. You never know.
Then explain Jack Ruby.
Well, see, now that's the thing. Jack Ruby, as we know, had some connections. If he went into business for himself, everybody in the mob probably said, he got the contract. I don't know.
He went into business for himself, killing the guy the Mafia had kill Kennedy.
Well, but he went into business for himself.
Or he didn't go into business for himself.
I think somebody would have been able to prove something by now.
All right, well, let's get, we'll talk more Mafia on the experience this week, maybe. This is a great topic.
We might as well talk about the Mafia instead of wrestling. It's more interesting.